Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you what I have going on in my kitchen. It is a regular homeschooling day. So early this morning, before we started homeschooling, I had the foresight to think about what we needed for today, and I did a little bit of prep work. I took my chicken out and I got that thawing. And then I started this dough, and I've shared on here before how I take my pizza dough and turn it into calzones, and today I'm going to show you that. And I'm also going to show you how I take the same dough and turn it into hamburger buns. I'm starting with the calzones because I need to get those ready for lunch, and lunchtime is quickly approaching. So I'm going to take this dough and divide it into two parts. I'll use this part for my rolls in a second, and I'll use this part to make the calzones. From this, I'm going to get about 6 calzones, or maybe 4. Alright, this will give me 4 nice sized calzones. I'm going to take it and roll it into a ball. As you can see, I oiled my hands earlier. I prefer to put oil on my hands rather than to add more flour, because after the flour has rested and the gluten has developed, I don't want to introduce new flour. That's when your food gets gritty. So a little oil on my hands and my dough is no longer sticky, and it's ready for me to work with it. So I'm just turning it into itself like so, rolling into a ball, and now I'm ready to make the calzones. So I'm going to do the same thing with my rolling pin. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in my hands and get it on my rolling pin so it doesn't stick to my dough. It's very simple. I've shared calzones on here so many times because we've been eating calzones non-stop in my family. Absolutely love them, and I love that they're just easy to make. We can fill them with whatever we want, and they're almost like a mess-free food. Remember, you don't want to overstuff your calzones or they will pop open in the oven. So just a fairly generous amount is good to go. I have some cheese already shredded that I'm going to just add here. And now I'm going to seal it. Helps if you don't overstuff it. And just like that, we have a calzone ready for the oven. I'm going to put this on my baking sheet off camera, and then I will vent them and get them in an oven. You can bake these at 350, 375. Just watch it so that it doesn't burn. Now I'm just going to do the same thing for the others. Around here we keep it rustic. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as your edges are sealed, that's what you're looking for, because you don't want the interior to ooze out. So just a nice good seal is what you're looking for.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals that take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed. Not so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again.
So in my previous video I shared that I like to just keep my kitchen going in a rhythm, and I do what makes the most sense for me. I get up early so I'm able to take out meat to have it defrosting while we're doing our regular everyday things. And it's warming up now, and so now that we're having some nicer, warmer weather, it means that the house will be hot if I'm cooking all day. So what I'm going to do very shortly is get lunch in the oven, and as soon as lunch gets out the oven, I'm going to get dinner in the oven, because as soon as I'm done prepping this, I'm going to start working on my dinner, because by now the chicken has defrosted and I can start prepping that. So I'm going to get this in the oven after venting it. So here is my finished calzones. They're all sealed. I'm just going to take a knife and I'm going to vent them. I put 2 slits at the top, just like so, and that's just enough to allow air to escape while they're baking in the oven. So I'm just going to put a few slits on the top, and that's going to allow it to vent while it cooks. If you want to, you could do an egg wash right now. I don't usually do that, and they brown up very nicely. So these are made with freshly milled flour. I didn't show milling the flour today because, like I said, that happened early in the morning once I was up and moving around, and so I didn't turn on the camera. But these are made with freshly milled flour. I used hard white wheat for this, and I used my pizza dough recipe. So I used half the dough to make these, and now I'm going to show you how I use the other half of the dough to make some burger buns for tonight's dinner. So this is the remainder of the dough I got when I took it out of my bread machine moments ago. Looks really nice. It's very soft. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to my hands again to prevent it from sticking. I've already prepared my baking tray by lining it with parchment paper. You can do the same. And with this amount of dough, I'll get about 6 nice-sized dinner rolls. And that's enough for us. I find that after a few days, the rolls will dry out and they will lose their appeal. So I don't like making too many bread products at once. I'd rather make a small batch now, and then I can make more as the week continues if we should need them. I could pull out my scale here and I could also measure these, but it's not absolutely necessary that they are all the same measurement. Just doing the best I can. So again, I'm going to shape these similarly to how I shaped the calzones. I'm just turning it into itself like so, which creates tension on the top of my roll. And then I'm going to roll it gently in my hands. And then I'm going to put it on my prepared baking sheet. So this is my prepared baking sheet. I've just sprayed some avocado oil on the bottom of it, and I'm going to put them on here, all 6 of them. I'm not going to let them touch each other. I'm going to give them space to double in size, and this is going to happen all while the calzones are in the oven. By the time the calzones come out the oven, then they will be ready to go in, and I'll have dinner partially started. Again, I like working like this in the kitchen. If I'm already doing something, I might as well work on something else. My children are busy doing what they need to do, and so this is how I increase efficiency in my kitchen. This is also how I shape my dinner rolls. Their dinner rolls would be different if you allowed them to touch each other in a small baking dish. And I've also shared that on here before. I'm going to oil my hands just a little bit more because the dough is getting a little sticky, not too much. So this dough could also be used to make dinner rolls. You would just line them up next to each other on the baking sheet and allow them to touch each other so they can rise together. I'm just here to encourage you, to let you know that bread making does not have to be difficult. You can use the same recipe and you can get many wonderful bread products by just shaping them differently. The same recipe can be used for many different applications. So now these are going to sit just like this, and they're going to get a chance to double in size. I'm going to put it on the warm side of my oven while the calzones are in there. That heat will help them to rise even farther or faster, and then I can pop them in the oven when the calzones are done. Here's a look at them. Alright, so this is what is going on. You might hear some sounds in the background. My children are having some free time right now. But I'm going to be spatchcocking this chicken for dinner. I've shared on here a few times how I do the roasted chicken, and I'm a little bit short on time today, so I'm going to be spatchcocking the chicken. That simply means we're just going to use our kitchen scissors to cut out the backbone of the chicken. So I've already washed and cleaned my chicken, and now I'm just going to cut the backbone out. This will allow me to essentially open up the chicken and allow it to cook more evenly and more quickly. You have to be careful here because the bones are sharp and you can cut yourself. So you can save the backbone and use it for bone broth, which is what I'm going to do. If you would like me to do a video on making bone broth, I can absolutely do that. Please leave that in the comment section to let me know. So I've cut out the backbone of my chicken, and now I can lay my chicken flat. I'm going to season it and get it ready for the oven. The hamburger buns are in the oven, and so when those come out, I can pop this in. Keeping my oven on rotation, it's already at temperature, cuts down the cooking time, and I can have dinner ready in no time. Okay, so I've shared how I've cut out the backbone of the chicken. So now this chicken is on the underside. I'm going to now season this and get this ready for the oven. I'm using some basic seasoning. I'm just going to be using an herb blend, some salt, some black pepper, and some liquid smoke. That is all you need, and it will give you a very flavorful end product. So I like to work with one hand dirty, one hand clean. When I say dirty, this is the hand that's going to be touching the meat, and this is the hand that I'll be using to season the meat. That way I'm not doing any cross-contamination. This hand for the meat, this hand for anything else that needs to get done. I'm going to drizzle a little bit of oil on here, on both sides, season, and then get it in my oven. I'm using avocado oil. You can use whatever oil you prefer. So I'm going to rub that in. When you spatchcock the chicken, you can really get the seasoning on the inside of your chicken and all the grooves. And it just makes for a flavorful end product. So that's my seasoning blend, a little bit of salt. Black pepper. And I'm just seasoning with my heart, you guys. You know how it is around here. But if you would like a full recipe, I can also link my blog and you can find it there. I will leave all of that information in the description box. So this is the underside. I'm going to flip it now, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of my chicken. This is normally done on a sheet pan. So if you'd like to do that on a sheet pan, you can absolutely do that as well. I like using this container because it has a lid, a dedicated lid that's oven safe, and I can close it down and my chicken will come out crispy and beautiful every single time. If I use any kind of sheet pans, then I will have to use some kind of covering like foil, and I don't like to use foil. And so I find that having a dedicated oven safe dish with a lid, one, cuts down on waste, and two, cuts down on my use of foil. All right. I'm going to let my chicken sit like this for a little while. My hamburger buns are still in the oven, and I'm also going to cut up some potatoes to complement the rest of the dish. So I'm going to let this sit for a while, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I have a potato here that I'm going to just peel and wash up and get it in with my chicken that I just spatchcocked not so long ago. I know many people choose not to peel their potatoes, but in our family we prefer it without the skin on, especially since we're not growing these in our own personal gardens. I just like to take the skins off so I can get a really good look at the potato before serving it to my family. So it's a little messy, but I'll rather take the skins off. Then I'll give it a quick rinse. So I'm not going to cut these too small because they're going to be in with the chicken and I don't want them to disintegrate. Nice big chunks will work really well. If you have carrots, you could also put carrots on your tray as well. Okay. These look like really nice sizes. So here's my chicken. This has been resting for a while. It smells amazing. So I'm just going to put my potatoes around the sides. And my hamburger buns are almost finished. So the timing is just right. Now you can put the top on this and put it in the oven just like this, or you can add a little bit of bone broth or water to this. The chicken is going to spring its own water, so I'm going to wait for the first half an hour. I will not uncover this chicken. I'll put it into the oven and leave it for the first half hour without touching it. After half hour, if it seems like it's too dry and it hasn't sprung enough water, then I will add a little bit because I want to ensure that my potatoes are cooked well. And so I'm going to leave it undisturbed for the first 30 minutes. Again, you can put water on the bottom or you can put a little bit of bone broth, chicken broth, vegetable broth, whatever broth you prefer to cook with.
Can I have some water, please?
So it's going to go into the oven now, and I will see you in a little bit. So I just pulled my buns out of the oven and they are ready. These are absolutely gorgeous rolls, and they're nice and soft. They're hot, so I don't want to touch them too much, but if you want to, you could put butter on the top of these to keep them soft. I just like to leave it just like this. I will cover it with a clean tea towel, so while it cools down, it will retain its moisture. So I just shared how I take my pizza dough and I turn them into calzones, and I use the same dough and I also make rolls. So if you can find one versatile recipe, you can make many things in your kitchen. So I just pulled these out of the oven, I put my chicken in, and it will be going for the next hour, and so I will come back and share with you the progress.